Hello, and welcome to today's webinar, Winning with Knowledge, How Financial Institutions Are Transforming Employee Experience with Engageware, presented by Carly St. Anna, Matt Theodoris of Engageware, and our guest presenter, Lori Roth of United Heritage Credit Union. Hello, Lori, how are you doing today?
I am well. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, great. Well, thanks for being with us all the way from cold Texas today. And Carly, how are you doing today?
Hi, Linda. I'm well, thanks.
All right, and you're joining us from Scottsdale, Arizona. And Matt, how are you?
Doing great, and I'm just north of Boston, and my weather looks nothing like the fake background behind me.
Well, I know it well. It's our office view, so it's lovely. So my name is Linda Bradica, and I'm here to help you, our audience members, to become familiar with our interactive features today. So by default, you're listening in via your computer speakers, and if you do want to switch over to the phone, you can do that. Just click on the icon on the bottom of your screen. At the end of this presentation, we will be having a live Q&A session, and you can ask your question at any time that it comes to you. Just find that icon on the bottom of the screen, click and type, send it whenever you'd like, and we'll pick that up at the end of the presentation. This webinar is being recorded, and for all of you that have registered, you will receive the link to view it again and share it, as well as the slide deck. So that's it for our housekeeping. And now over to Carly to begin.
Thank you, Linda. All right, I'll do some introductions here. I think there's a slide. There we go. I am Carly St. Anna here in the middle, and I'm lucky enough to be the strategic account manager here at Engageware that gets to work with today's guest, the delightful Lori Roth, who you'll all meet, Learning and Development Manager for United Heritage Credit Union. We're also joined by my colleague, Matt Theodoris, who's Engageware's Director of Solutions Architecture. To kick us off, Lori, would you mind sharing a little bit about yourself and United Heritage?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So I'm a learning and development manager here, and our team administers our knowledge management program. And I had the great fortune of being the project manager to bring Engageware to United Heritage. I've been here just over 4 years, and I'm on a team, a talent management team of 6, which includes our talent acquisition team as well as our learning and development team. So we're just super happy to be with Engageware and have had great experiences so far, and happy to share our experiences with you all today. And then about us, we've been around since 1957. So we serve the Central and East Texas areas. We're really proud to have 78,000 members that we serve in the area. We've grown pretty exponentially over the last several years. We're at about 1.6 billion in assets. We've got around 250 employees and 10 branches right now. And you can see that our core values align pretty closely kind of with what Engageware is going with as well. One of the big ones for us is innovation. And so that's one of the things that Engageware has helped us to push more of within our organization.
Great, thank you so much, Lori. Now, just a little bit about Engageware and what we solve for. We're an end-to-end member engagement platform, and we've made it our mission to solve the customer's need at the first interaction, which helps our customers drive loyalty, increase satisfaction. And now we'll move on to the United Heritage use case that you're all here to hear about today. All right, starting with the challenges around legacy knowledge management. Lori, would you be so kind as to elaborate on what some of those challenges were for you?
Yeah, absolutely. We experience a lot of the same challenges that a lot of organizations likely experience, and that is that we just kind of outgrew our previous knowledge management practices. In the past, we hosted a lot of our policies and procedures in Word documents, PDFs, and such on our company intranet. And it was getting challenging for us to keep that information up to date all the time. It was difficult for employees to find the information that they needed. And we really didn't have a great feedback loop where employees could contribute their own knowledge or prompt us to make updates. And so kind of all the challenges you see listed here on the screen are the things that we were challenged with. And luckily, we have a really fantastic leadership team. When we started hearing some rumblings of employees not being able to find what they needed quickly to serve our members, we knew we needed some technology to help us out, but we also knew that we need to change our knowledge management practices at the same time. So this was just a really good opportunity for us to do some housekeeping and really solidify our knowledge management practices, and then have that technology as kind of the guide on the side to help keep us accountable. Yeah, I think one of the things that we did that might be unique compared to some other users is that we have a centralized, decentralized model of content ownership. Rather than having one team administer all the policies and procedures for the entire credit union, we train content editors and owners within each department, because we want our experts in those departments to be the ones that ultimately own the content. It's been really helpful for us because employees, as they're using the content day to day, if they see a gap or they see an opportunity, they can submit feedback right away. And so really the system has just grown exponentially, and we have employees in there all day, every day, getting the information they need as quickly as possible. So it's been really fantastic.
That's great. I love that you had such clearly defined goals.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Would you mind sharing a little bit about what evaluation criteria you all used when selecting your vendor, someone to partner with to achieve those?
Right. So there are a lot of vendors out there in the marketplace. And when we started going through demos and doing our research, it got really challenging to sift through all the flashy bells and whistles that a lot of platforms offer. And really, when we boiled it all down, we didn't need leaderboards to know who's going into the knowledge base most often. We didn't need all those flashy features. What we really needed was a feedback loop where our employees could feel like they have ownership in the collective knowledge of the credit union, and they can contribute, and they have a say-so as to what goes in and how often it gets updated. So that was the biggest opportunity for us, was that feedback loop that we were looking for, and the accountability. So the fact that the system triggers us to regularly look at our content and make sure it's up to date was huge for us too. We also had over 2,000, probably somewhere like around 2,500 different pieces of policy and procedure information floating around out there that we needed to convert. So another big decision factor for us in going with Engageware was the content team. Once we gathered our content and got it where we needed it to be with updates, we literally handed it over to Engageware's content team, and then they digitized it. They organized it, and they actually made a lot of great recommendations to help us reorganize some of the content that we had to make it more easily searchable. So we actually learned quite a bit through the implementation process about best practices with knowledge management as well.
That's great. Thank you. I know also from talking to you that change management was a concern. Would you mind sharing with everyone how you approached that?
Oh, sure. Well, firstly, it was really helpful that everyone was ready for the change. We've been hearing that, we want to find information more quickly. We want to hold ourselves accountable. And so I think that part of the change management was fairly easy. We put together a really solid communication and change management plan for the organization so that we were communicating the right information at the right time to the right audiences. So kind of where we started was gathering content. So as you can see here, this is our project dashboard, a snippet from it that shows you we had about 2,500 pieces of content. The process of kind of going through it all and getting it up to date, we were able to kind of skinny it down to just under 500-ish items, which was really helpful. So it was just a matter of having the right communications at the right time to kind of lead everyone through that content collection process. And then we put a lot of effort into how do we get people excited and wanting to use the knowledge base going forward. And so we did put together a fun campaign for employee engagement. We called it our Smart Cookie campaign. So we published not only we had a web page on our intranet, which provided a lot of frequently asked questions that employees might have, but we also pushed out flyers, digital images for our Smart Cookie campaign. We had stickers. We did a cookie drop on implementation day. And then we also created a huddle guide for all of our managers so they could facilitate a conversation with their teams about some of the pain points they were experiencing in the past, showing them how to use the new system and all of that. So I think that, the care and time that we put into kind of getting everyone prepared and excited is one of the reasons we've been so successful with it. So we did have a scavenger hunt on implementation day, where we encouraged employees to go into the knowledge base. And then we hid little Easter eggs throughout it so that they would find little surprises here and there. And then we did kind of some prize giveaways after the fact too, for the folks that were really engaged and using it. And so we've got some pictures here, some of our team members on launch day. You can see they've had some of their huddles and they're celebrating by having our new knowledge base for the team. It's a really fantastic project.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then here we've got some comments that we got from our post-implementation survey. So we did reach out to our employees to check in and make sure that they're happy. And these are just a few of the sentiments. And you can see that a lot of them are echoing some of the things that I've shared about easy to search, quick to load, easy to navigate. So people really appreciate the time savings they have back in their day without having to look for things that are difficult to find.
That's so great. Thank you. It's
Yeah.
so fun to hear all the things you did behind the scenes. Now, I thought we would maybe take a look at the results, the metrics that you use to track the program's success. I'm sure everyone would be interested in hearing a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So on the front end, our old intranet-based system it would literally take 12 to 13 seconds to process just to return some search results. We were able to bring that down to just almost instantaneous, so just a second. And then, of course, the system does a really good job of tracking the ROI. So we can kind of assign a dollar figure to how much money are we saving by an employee self-serving to find this information versus, asking someone else. So we do look at those metrics as well. But you can see that we've saved a tremendous amount of time for employees being able to find information more quickly. And then we also do annual employee engagement surveys, and we have seen a lift in those numbers as well since implementing the knowledge base.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Of course.
Right. Now we'll turn it over to Matt to show you what all of this looks like.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks so much, Lori. Really great stories, and we're so happy for the success that you've had with the solution. And just for those on the call today that aren't incredibly familiar with the solution, you heard a bit from Lori, but to give you a quick overview of what it is, when we look at solving the problem, like Lori said, yes, they needed the technology, but they also had to update some of their practices around knowledge management, and that's a big piece of it. There's some change management on the customer end, but we're really in lockstep with that, with our content team that helps you organize the content, make recommendations about how to lay out the content, how to organize it all together in one knowledge base so that it's searchable and so that the employees can actually use it. So that combination of human and technology is really important because, like Lori said, there's so many knowledge bases out there. You can find almost anything to stick your employee content into, but if it's not well organized, if it's not thought through, then it just becomes something that's really challenging for the employees to use. So when we look at doing it with our customers at Engageware, there's really three key pieces to all of it coming together successfully. And of course, the first is the content services, and it's not only during the onboarding phase, obviously that's typically the heaviest part of the lift, but even on an ongoing basis, there's always changes and updates to content, and we enable customers to manage it on their own, but also our content team's always there to help update and bring in new content. It's very common for our customers to go through things like core conversions or branding changes or mergers and acquisitions that can really impact a significant amount of the content the employees use. And we're regularly doing projects with customers to help them through that process and get everything updated and relaunched to where it needs to be for those big changes in the organization. And then in addition to our team, there's also in the middle of the slide here, the content management piece. So there's all the tools that are built in that allow for those employee feedback loops that Lori was mentioning, to assign ownership and accountability, and all the built-in reminders and nudges to say, hey, it's time to look at this procedure and either say it's good as is or make our annual updates to it. And it really helps to enable that centralized, decentralized model that Lori was talking about, where her team can really train all these individual departments and their experts there to own and maintain their own content. And of course, it works in other modes as well. We have many customers where there's a centralized training team authoring the majority of the content. But actually, Laura, you said you might be uncommon, but probably more common than you realize that you have to spread the work out, and you have to let the experts in different departments really own the content that they're most knowledgeable in. But, and bringing it all together in a way that makes it easy for employees to find it when they need it. Because ultimately, the end user here is the employee. And yeah, we want to make it easier for the authors to update it. But, the real bulk of the use of a system like this is the employees trying to find their information every day. And they're the ones who are in front of customers and need to get the answers quickly and accurately. And then we've also layered in, innovative technology like generative AI to help with the search and really give employees really quick and concise answers to what they're looking for, as opposed to them having to dig through a big pile of search results. So I'm going to show a little bit of that in a moment, but really what the enhanced search does is it helps employees quickly find things that are buried in the knowledge base. If it's in there, the enhanced search will pull it right out, give them a really quick and concise answer. So you can get accurate answers quickly, as well as links to the sources. So even though we're using generative AI, we still always want to make sure, okay, here's the source that it came from, because there's lots of detailed information in here that the employees use. So we don't want to lose any of that context or knowledge when we synthesize an answer with generative AI. It really helps the experience for both the employees and the customers. So it builds employee confidence because they can find what they need. It saves everybody time, and it gives the customers a faster and better experience. I'm going to switch screens here, and we'll take a quick look at what this looks like. And if anyone who's on the call hasn't seen the whole solution end to end, is interested in learning more and seeing more, feel free. There'll be a chance to leave comments and a survey at the end, and we're happy to engage and have a more personalized discussion for any of you. But today I'm just going to show a little bit of the enhanced search functionality. And what we're looking at here is an entry page that an employee might use to find information within the system. And this can be laid out and designed in a lot of different ways. There's different ways we can enable the employees to browse through the information. But search is where the real power is, because usually there's a very specific need or customer or member question that they're dealing with. So in this case, I might be dealing with a customer or a member who needs to get a large wire transfer done today. And first thing I need to say, okay, who else do I have to get involved to approve this as we go? So I might say, who can... Okay. And here I'll get my potentially relevant search results, but also with the enhanced search, I'm going to get a really direct answer to the question I asked. Or if I did a search, even without phrasing it as a question, as long as it's specific enough, I'll get a direct answer. And so in this case, there's a lot of intelligence going on. It's smart enough to figure out, even though I typed M here, that means million. And when we look at the content, and by the way, there's always a full link to where we derive that answer from. Look at the content here. There's nothing that says what to do specifically with a $1.5 million wire. The goalposts in this content are over 1 or less than 2.5 million. But it's smart enough to figure out, okay, we're in between that, and we're going to recommend the appropriate approval levels. And then if it were to go forward and you want to figure out how much time we have to deal with this today, I can just say something like, Yeah, I don't have to phrase it as a question. It's just something that's specific enough where if I walked up to another human being and said, "Hey, tell me about the cutoff time for wire transfers," they get a good sense of what I'm trying to find out. And again, we get a really specific answer with exactly the information that I need, and then a link to the sources. And another thing you'll notice here, I'm going to dive into the content here. When you look at my search, I was searching for cutoff times. And a really common thing that happens in banking and with our credit union customers is that the employees who are working the front lines, that many of them are newer. They're using whatever language they know coming in as new employees, which can be very different from the language of an author of some of this content who's maybe been with the organization or in the financial institution industry for 10, 20 or more years. So here with the employee searching as cutoff, we go in and look at the actual content. The word cutoff is actually not even in the content. This is talking about deadlines here in the header of this section of the document. And if we go down to where the actual answer came from, where those actual cutoff times came from, it doesn't say anything about cutoff here either. It just says authorization must be obtained no later than. So really significant difference in language here, but still smart enough to figure out all the different ways that an employee might search for something and come back and find the knowledge if it's in there somewhere in the knowledge base. So another big thing we've seen with this that's really important is if the answer's in there, it's going to pull it out versus an employee having to go through a list of potential search results and wonder, is it in this one, is it in that one, and dig into each and find where the answer is. We'll just pull it right out, cite where it came from. And then we can track the experience of this as it's being rolled out in the organization. So with the reporting package that's available with the enhanced search as well, there's many reports in the system to see how employees are using it, but specifically for the enhanced search, from an administrative perspective, the folks who are in charge of the system can see every single search that an employee ran. So here's a search an employee ran, here's a response that the enhanced search gave back. So we can see the exact wording on both ends. And then there's a whole feedback loop built around it. So if I go back to the employees view here, they can say, yeah, that was great, or it wasn't so great. They can leave a comment. And then all that shows up in this report as well. And then we also get a direct link from the report to what content was used to generate that answer. So if the answer looks funny or if we get negative feedback from the employee, we can jump right in, we can click through, and we can go to where we can quickly make an edit or an update to the content. So that was a quick tour of the AI enhanced search. That's a critical part of the solution. But as we mentioned, having all three of these things working together in concert really makes our customers successful. So with that, we will head towards wrapping up the webinar, and I'll hand it back to Linda to see what questions we get from the audience.
Right, well, great. And thank you for the great presentation, all of you. It's really so helpful. And now the floor is open to you, our live audience. We've got many people here live, and I do see questions have been coming in. But if you haven't asked your question yet, it's not too late. So just click on that Q&A icon and send it on over, and we'll get your answer to you. So while you've been presenting, I saw this question come in, and this question, it appears to be for you, Lori. So it is, let's get this question. Here it is. Now that you've launched, how do you keep the knowledge base updated?
Oh, well, it kind of runs itself, to be honest. We get feedback from employees almost daily on different content with suggestions for improvements or questions they have about it. And then when that's not happening, we're getting automated reminders. All the content owners and editors get reminded on whatever cadence we set on our content to keep it up to date. Kind of what my team does is we work as triage. So as different cases come in or questions that employees have come in, we assess whether it's a very quick update that we can make. If it's something that would require a subject matter expert, then we kind of assign those out to each individual department to be handled. We do a monthly knowledge base audit. So any content that has been recently updated or has been created, we do spot check audits to make sure that the content meets our guidelines. So we have in the knowledge base, a content editor and owner manual, which has all of our standards and how-tos outlined. And so we just inspect what we expect once a month, and the system pretty well runs itself.
That's great. So easy to edit. That's, I did see a
Yeah.
live question come in about that. So thank you, and keep those questions coming.
Yeah.
Let's see if we've got another good one here. Here's one. What does the implementation process look like, and how long did it take?
Okay, well, two-part answer. It took us many months to gather our content. We are working on a lot of big projects right now. And of course, this was credit union wide. So I was working with many, many different departments that had sometimes, hundreds of pieces of policies or procedures to update. So I would say the housekeeping end for us took a little bit longer. But once we engaged with Engageware, the process to implement was actually pretty fast. It took about 2.5 to 3 months from the time we turned our content over and the content team started digitizing everything. There really wasn't a ton on the back end that we had to do. It was really just working on our communication plan, our change management plan, and kind of learning more about how the system works. Thankfully, it's very intuitive. So it was actually a lot quicker than I anticipated. And we launched right on time. So everything went exactly as we had hoped.
That's great. So great to hear that.
Yeah.
We are running a bit short on time, so we're going to go ahead and wrap up. And we do have several questions here that we did not get to yet, but we will respond to you via email as soon as we can. We'll get those across to your experts. And because I see there are so many questions here, please feel free to reach out to us. We're here for you to get the answers that you're looking for with regard to employee knowledge management and more. And I just want to thank our expert panel so much, Carly, Matt, and special guest Lori, for your insightful look into employee management. With that, when you, our audience, go to close out of today's presentation, please take a moment to take our short survey. It's very short, 5 questions, about 20 seconds. And that's how we can better our programming for you. And we hope to see you back at another live webinar. And now I'm going to hand it over to Carly for a close.
Thanks, Linda. Thank you, Lori, first of all, so much for sharing your experience with everyone today, and Matt for bringing it to life for us, as always. Thanks to all of our friends that joined us and listened in today. Have a great rest of your week.
Good day to all.
Yeah.
Goodbye.